I am a 61-year-old man who has survived and thrived through all the challenges of my past marriages, so let this story serve as a guide for younger men. Here's my background. I've been a traveling comedian since I finished high school in spring 1979. That same fall, I established my own company and started investing in gold and silver, storing them offshore for emergencies. I have always paid my business taxes, but, on the advice of my lawyer and accountant, never paid personal taxes, focusing instead on protecting my assets. I always had a prenuptial agreement signed. No prenup meant no marriage for me. My first marriage, which ended in 1998 after 13 years, cost me nothing because of the prenup. My second marriage in 2004 was annulled after just 3 weeks, and again I lost no money thanks to the prenup. By 2021, my third marriage was failing. My third ex-wife, older than me but still looking like she was in her 40s, frequently received compliments on her appearance from both men and women. I was never a jealous person and trusted her completely, even when I was away performing. She often traveled with me to my shows, mostly at resorts, so we had a life on the road. In the fall of 2016, my third wife and I sold almost all our possessions and moved to Mexico, where we became permanent residents. I didn't sell any of my properties. Instead, I made my 30-year-old son and 34-year-old daughter co-directors of my company, adding their names to the property titles alongside mine. None of my ex-wives were ever on these titles, all thanks to the prenups. We settled in a community near Cancun, which was perfect for flying out to my gigs. The area was home to a diverse mix of people aged 20 to 70, both married and single, from all around the world. Following my insurance company's advice, I built a small studio in our backyard and installed security measures, including window bars and 24/7 video surveillance with footage stored in the cloud, as we were away half the time. The backyard was secured with 18-foot walls topped with barbed wire and backed by jungle, so the only unwelcome guests were monkeys, dragonflies, and other bugs. Over the years, I noticed my ex-wife's drinking steadily increase, but I put up with it. Sadly, she became a closet alcoholic like her father. I don't drink, having had 2 close relatives who were severe alcoholics. Despite attending marriage counseling in Mexico at her suggestion, our issues remained unresolved. When COVID hit in the spring of 2020, many people returned to their home countries. Club owners in town began holding secret parties and underground events at beach bars, which my wife started attending with her married and single friends of both genders. Initially, she would come home tipsy around 6 p.m., wanting to be intimate, but she would pass out before anything happened. As her drinking worsened, I suggested she join AAA, but she refused, blaming me instead. While on the road, she would text me, saying she was too drunk to come home and would stay at a friend's place. Though I had off-site video recordings as part of our security, I never checked them because I trusted her. In the summer of 2020, while I was performing in Panama, I received a message right before going on stage: "Your wife is in the town jail for drunkenness, disorderly conduct, and lewd behavior." I thanked her and let my wife stay in the local jail for 3 days, where she was given 1 chicken taco, a bottle of warm water per day, 1 bathroom break, and no shower. Welcome to a Mexican jail. When I returned home, our taxi driver brought her back, and she went off on me, but I just brushed her aside and laid down the law: no more drinking, either sober up or get out. The charges were still pending, remember that. In the fall of 2020 and winter of 2021, I hit the road again, performing gigs in Mexico, Central and South America, and she accompanied me on many of those trips. Our home had security cameras installed both inside and outside, except in the bathrooms. I would disable the bedroom cameras when I was home, but turned them on when I traveled, per the insurance company's policy, despite her complaints about privacy concerns, whatever that meant. We ended 2020 on a high note, joining a local gym and working out 4 times a week, eating keto, losing weight, and feeling great. We did more activities together as a couple, and I kept up my workout routine while traveling, as most resorts have gyms. At 61, with genetic arthritis looming, staying fit is crucial to keeping weight off my joints, along with using natural remedies for pain relief. Some of my high school friends have already had knee replacements, and one of their wives at 62 just got a hip replacement. I still keep in touch with 3 of my high school buddies. In spring 2021, I was traveling for gigs in Mexico for 3 or 4 days at a time, usually Thursday to Sunday. My wife then mentioned she needed to be home more to focus on her business, which was fair since she had a small office in town. I offered to do my Central and South American shows via hologram so I could stay home more, but she insisted it was fine and suggested we use my points for our travels after my Christmas and New Year's gigs were finished. Do what you need to do, I said. The prenup protects each of our business assets in case the marriage ends, and neither of us is responsible for each other's personal debts accrued during the marriage. She had 1 business and 4 personal credit cards, while I had just 1 business card. By summer 2021, I got busier, and she spent more time at her office. But when I called her cell phone during the day, she often didn't pick up, and when she did, she sounded rushed and preoccupied. A couple of times she told me she was hosting friends for a barbecue at our house. I reminded her of our agreement. I trust you're not drinking, she replied. Nope, I'm fine. It's all good. A few days later, I returned home and logged into the cloud service to review the security footage. To my disappointment, it revealed not just her heavy drinking, but also that the barbecues were actually wild parties with multiple partners. She was involved with her girlfriends in all kinds of ways, and there were men and boyfriends all over our property, except in my studio, which she didn't have access to as I never shared the code. What I heard was heart-wrenching. They kept talking about how fortunate she was to have a man with such a great place, and she would respond, yeah, and he's only home half the time. Screw him. One frequent guest enjoying my wife's hospitality was a local guitarist. Maybe I should give him some recognition, perhaps a coupon reading, stay 2 nights, get the 3rd one free. The security cameras captured her antics all over the house, including our bedroom, you name the spot, and she'd done it there. I started calling her mistress of the halls. I immediately contacted my female lawyer back in Canada. She's ruthless, and had her draft a separation agreement, seeking a quick, uncontested, no-fault divorce within 90 days. Since we weren't Mexican citizens, and there's no legal separation process there, I instructed my lawyer to hold off on sending the notice electronically due to COVID protocols, until she heard from me again. I informed my kids of the situation and asked them to talk to my lawyer to make sure all the property documents were secure. I didn't notify any of her relatives in late summer or early fall of 2021. On November 25th, when I came back home, I barely spoke to my wife. I was distant, only engaging in brief discussions about household tasks, repairs, and similar topics. I became stoic and withdrawn, giving short, mumbled answers and avoiding going out with her, focusing instead on editing content in my studio. Most nights, I slept in the studio and spent a few days editing videos. She would ask me daily if everything was all right or if I wanted to talk about anything, but I always replied no. Then, in the last week of September, I hit the road again. We hadn't been intimate since spring 2021. I came back 2 days before my birthday in October, and she had planned a backyard party for me. Earlier, I had suggested hosting a family-friendly gathering where friends and relatives from back home could join us virtually. I wanted it to be an evening event, and although she reluctantly agreed, she also invited her bar friends and other locals from the community to the barbecue. I was adamant that it be an alcohol-free event since I don't drink and it was my birthday. I requested that only water, coffee, tea, and juices be served to align with my keto lifestyle. My studio is equipped with a large white and green background screen for hologram broadcasting, which can be used to display movies or digital content. I set it up, cleared the backyard, and got everything ready. I've learned that timing is everything, and the barbecue was barely tolerable. I told the guests I had a cold, wore a mask, and avoided hugging or kissing anyone, claiming I didn't want to spread germs. I kept my distance from everyone, including my wife, while I grilled the food. The truth was, I couldn't bring myself to touch any of these morally bankrupt people who had been doing indecent things on my property and in my marital bed with my soon-to-be ex-wife. With the help of a friend, I set up a Facebook live stream from an editing room server to broadcast the party in real time. Many of our family and friends from back home joined us virtually for dinner. We were having a good time, but things were about to get much more entertaining for me. After dinner, I announced a surprise for everyone, a video highlighting our 5 years of wonderful memories with our good friends. I had included 5 minutes of the most memorable footage from the various adult gatherings that had occurred, and it was streamed live on Facebook to all her relatives. While the grandkids were already asleep, her son and his new girlfriend, her daughter, her son-in-law, and many others saw it. For an added touch, I also included clips of her being intimate with the guitarist in our bed and throughout the house. My ex-wife stormed into the studio, cut the power breaker, and came out shouting, "How dare you!" I just stood there laughing. The party cleared out in under a minute. Everyone rushed to their cars, avoiding eye contact with me. While dinner was being served, I had hired someone to pack up all her clothes and personal items into suitcases and bags. During the party, our bedroom door was locked from the inside as her belongings were being packed. I told her it was for security reasons since I had valuables in there. Her luggage was placed outside at the base of the front staircase, and the front door locks were changed during dinner. The locksmith I hired came to the backyard to inform me that the locks had been switched. He stayed for dinner, and after everyone left, he also changed the locks on the back door and my studio doors. After everyone left, I walked to the front door, opened it, and pointed out her luggage. I informed her that I had filed the separation papers electronically and that she was not to contact me in any manner. I also cautioned her that if she or any of her friends defamed or spoke ill of me on any media platform, my lawyer would sue. The same taxi driver who had taken her home from jail a year ago was waiting for her outside. She loaded her luggage, got into the car, and left. I also alerted the security manager at the condo gate that she was banned from the property, regardless of what she might say. As it turns out, my ex-wife is currently staying with one of her drinking buddies. She has completely fallen apart emotionally, has been shunned by her family, is forbidden from speaking to her grandkids, and received nothing from me thanks to the ongoing charges related to her public misconduct. She is now headed back to jail for failing to appear in court. My ex now walks the beach selling fishing and snorkeling tours to make ends meet and has racked up $20,000 in personal credit card debt due to her heavy drinking and partying. But thanks to our prenup, she gets nothing from me. My lawyer served her the separation documents via email, and a process server went to her daughter's home in Canada to deliver the papers. The divorce is expected to be finalized on January 20th, 2022. I blocked her and all her barbecue friends on my email, LinkedIn and phone, both landline and cell. I screen all incoming calls now and don't answer any unknown or private numbers. I also sent the video link to her clients, friends, and business associates back in Canada, and a friend of mine posted it on all other social media platforms. My ex-wife's reputation is destroyed. It's been 6 weeks since all this happened, and although I'm still hurting, I've continued touring, working out regularly, eating healthy, and staying on the road until January 2nd, 2022. After that, I plan to take a month-long break and travel to Colombia, Panama, and Ecuador. I have a comedian friend from Canada who now lives in Ecuador, and I'll be visiting him. The house is being completely repainted and redecorated, with new furniture throughout. I've moved into the guest suite on the 2nd floor, and nothing will look the same as before. I'm done with marriage, been there, done that. I have no issues with women, some even offer me their numbers, surprised when I tell them I don't have a cell phone. I'm old school, but guys always get a prenup. By the way, the gold and silver I bought back in 1979 helped pay for my kids' first cars, their college education, and their first homes. The rest of it is allocated according to my will. Thanks for your time. Story 2. My husband Leo 34M and I 30F have been together for 7 years, married for 4. We don't have any children, and we don't plan to. 2 years ago, Leo asked me to have an open marriage. I was crushed at the time and couldn't grasp why he didn't just want me. I couldn't bear the idea of sharing him either. He gave me the same excuses many men give their wives, insisting that he loved me, but that I wasn't meeting all his needs. He claimed it was just to add some excitement to our lives, that it was purely about sex and so on. I asked if there was someone else and he said no. To this day, I'm not sure if I believe him, but at the time I was angry and hurt and refused. He pressured me to change my mind for a week before giving me an ultimatum: open marriage or divorce. I chose the open marriage because I couldn't stand the thought of him leaving me then. We set some rules: no bringing partners home, STD tests every 3 months, 1 weekend per month reserved for just us, and any money spent on partners had to come from our personal accounts. For the first 3 months, I didn't engage in the open marriage myself, but Leo jumped in immediately. He seemed to be out or away late almost constantly, yet he always acted so happy and loving toward me, while I felt like I was dying inside. It tore me apart to know he was sleeping with other women, and I felt so alone, unattractive, and not good enough. Here's the fully paraphrased version of the text according to your instructions. I confided in my sister Katie 26F and a few close friends about everything. Katie told me to play along with his game and participate in the open marriage too if he could sleep around, then so could I. At that time, I didn't have much confidence in myself. I was somewhat overweight and never considered myself traditionally attractive, so I feared this would only humiliate me further. Katie and my best friend Jessie 30F set up my online dating profiles, and I ended up receiving an overwhelming number of matches. When I told Leo, he was surprised but said I should do whatever I felt was right. Jessie helped me pick my first date, and it turned out to be a great experience. He didn't pressure me for sex and took me out for drinks and dinner. We eventually did sleep together, but it was all casual, and we didn't continue seeing each other after a couple of months. That first guy really boosted my confidence, so I kept going on dates with other men. Many of them treated me, so I rarely had to spend my own money. Some of these men have also given me the best sex of my life, the kind you read about in romance novels. It's been incredible. Right now I'm seeing two men alongside Leo. One is Mark 38M, who feels more like a steady boyfriend. We've been together for about 6 months. The other is Stephen 25M, which is more casual, mostly just hanging out and having sex. Both know about my open marriage and other relationships and are fine with it. Meanwhile, my husband hasn't been as fortunate. At first he was going out all the time and not caring even when I started dating too. But now he just complains and hasn't been going out much. He often grumbles about how he's the one usually spending money, and many of the women he tries to be with want an emotional connection before having sex. He often prefers younger women, but they typically want younger men. Lately, he's been upset that I go out with other men so often while he's at home by himself. He hasn't asked to close the marriage yet, but I feel like he might soon. He keeps saying he misses us and wants to spend more time together, often trying to initiate sex and suggesting dates and vacations. He gets upset when I turn him down because I've already made plans with my partners, mostly Mark. Honestly, I don't think I love Leo anymore. I still care about him, but the love isn't there. I'm not saying I love Mark or Stephen either, but I do feel closer to Mark than Leo these days. Mark makes me feel safe and comfortable, and I enjoy being with him more than I do with my own husband. Stephen is sweet, fun, and really good in bed. Katie and Jessie have been urging me to divorce Leo for over a year, but I've been scared of hurting him and convinced myself that I still loved him. However, I think my love for him died when he asked for the open marriage in the first place. Seeing him get all upset now, because he isn't benefiting from it, is a major turnoff for me, but I'm still unsure if divorce is the right decision. I still care about him and don't want to hurt him. Maybe if he finally asks to close the marriage, we can have a conversation about it. Update. Hi everyone, I received so many comments and messages on my last post, which got deleted for some reason, and I felt overwhelmed, especially when many of you were repeating the same advice: divorce, 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 divorce. The thing is, part of me still loves my husband. I know in my last post I said I didn't think I loved him anymore, but I can't just forget the things I do love. I love when he sings in the shower, and I love when he laughs so hard that he snorts. I love it when he kisses my forehead after I've had a rough day, and when he holds my hand while we watch TV together. Leo has made a lot of mistakes, but he's not as much of a fool as people think, and maybe that's partly my fault. Even though a part of me still loves him, I'm not in love with him anymore and haven't been for a while. I care about him deeply, but you all were right. I should have divorced him when he first gave me that ultimatum. This past Saturday we had the big conversation. I started it, but he didn't seem very surprised. I told him I noticed he didn't seem to like me going out with Mark or Stephen and asked if it was bothering him. He admitted that it was, but instead of asking to close the marriage, he just asked if I still loved him. I told him something like "not the way I used to." He broke down crying, which made me cry too. I think he had known for a while that my love for him had faded, but he was hoping he could win me back by pouring all his effort into us. I was honest and told him that my love for him had likely died in those first 3 months of our open marriage, and I hadn't been able to get it back. I told him I still cared about him and loved him, but it wasn't the same anymore. He asked if I loved Mark or Stephen, and I said no, I enjoy spending time with them and care about them, but I wouldn't say I'm in love with either of them. I finally asked him why he wanted the open marriage in the first place. Many of you in the comments had guessed he already had someone in mind, and you were right. There was a woman at work he was interested in, and she liked him too. The open marriage was just a way for him to get my permission. He honestly never thought I'd find my own partners because of my lack of confidence, but he didn't want to stop me either, thinking it wouldn't lead to anything. He didn't really like me dating other men, but he knew it wouldn't be fair to tell me no after I had given him permission first. I guess Mark and Stephen made him feel insecure because I was spending so much time with them regularly. For him, the open marriage was just casual sex on the side. He only did hookups, and they never lasted. He always genuinely loved only, but he was afraid I was falling in love with my partners and that he was losing me, and he wanted to win me back. We cried and talked a lot and ultimately decided to get a divorce. Since the house is in his name, I'll be moving out and staying with Katie for a while. He told me I didn't have to leave and that I could stay until the divorce was finalized, but I just can't. It's too difficult to look at him sometimes. Honestly, I don't even know how I feel. I thought I would feel relieved or sad, but I'm just exhausted. I wish I could be like everyone wanted me to be strong, sarcastic, snarky, or rubbing it in his face, but I don't feel like I've won anything. I just feel lost. Update: hi, it's been a while. It feels like so much has happened, but also nothing at all. I'm still feeling a lot of emotions, but I'm just really worn out. Leo and I are still working through the divorce, and it's been as amicable as it can be, considering we both agreed to it. With our prenup, splitting everything else 50/50 has been pretty straightforward. My lawyer expects the divorce to be finalized by the end of the year. Leo insists on giving me alimony, but I'm not interested. After many people urged me to reconsider Leo's explanation for the open marriage, I approached him again and asked him to be completely honest about the girl from work. He confessed that there was more to it than he originally let on. This is what he told me, and I've decided to believe him, even if he might still be lying. It doesn't really matter now since we're getting divorced, and I just don't have the energy to care about the details anymore. According to him, this is the sequence of events he was posting on Reddit about his kinks, seeking advice and such, which I already knew about. He started getting messages from a particular user, and they kept chatting back and forth. He mentioned my name in one of their conversations, which he showed me during his lunch break. A coworker, whom I'll call Mary, approached him and asked if he used Reddit and inquired about his username. He confirmed, and Mary revealed that she was the user he had been messaging. They began talking more in person as friends and eventually moved their conversations to Instagram, which he also showed me. Most of their chats were just memes and jokes, with occasional flirting and references to kinks. At one point, she told him it was a shame he wasn't single. This was when he decided to push for the open marriage, because Mary was obviously interested in him and shared his kinks, and she could satisfy him in ways I couldn't. That's basically how he explained it. The truth is, we had some issues in the bedroom before the open marriage was even mentioned. I'm very vanilla, and he discovered his kinks after we were already married. I tried everything for him, but I just couldn't get into it, and he didn't like seeing me struggle, so he stopped trying to bring those things into the bedroom after it was clear I wasn't enjoying it. So we did have problems with sexual compatibility, and maybe we were destined to fail even without the open marriage ultimatum. Outside of my sister, our families were shocked. When we told them we were divorcing, they always thought we were so happy and in love. My mom blames me, which I expected, but it still hurts. They don't know about the open marriage, and Leo and I plan to keep it that way. I think he's embarrassed to tell them, and honestly, so am I. I really believed Leo was the love of my life. He was my first for almost everything. I said we were together for 7 years, but we had been friends since college. I've known him for nearly 12 years, and now we're about to become strangers. I still grieve my marriage, even though Katie and Jesse keep reminding me this is the right choice. They're both definitely happy about it and don't hide their feelings, but they also understand this has been a strange time for me. I'm not sure how to feel. I thought I would feel free, relieved, heartbroken, or something, but I just feel lost, like I've lost a part of myself, and I don't know how to find it again. I'm still living with Katie, but I'll be moving out soon. I found a 1-bedroom apartment near Jesse's place, so I won't be completely alone. Mark offered to let me move in with him, but I declined. Honestly, we're kind of in a holding pattern. He knows I'm struggling to process my feelings about my husband and the end of my marriage. I think he wants us to be official, but I'm not sure. I really like Mark and don't want to lose him, but I feel like I need to figure myself out first. As for Stephen, we ended things at the start of August when he got a job offer in another state and took it. Even though our relationship was casual, I did shed a few tears. Stephen is a great guy, and whoever ends up with him when he's ready to settle down will be very lucky. We've been texting occasionally, but it's mostly just sharing TikToks and sending polite "hope you're doing well" messages. Some people asked if I want to go back to monogamy even after exploring this poly relationship, and the answer is yes, I do. Even though Mark and Stephen were great, and I met some amazing people during my open marriage, I don't think I've ever been truly happy with myself or my choices. I've also felt a lot of guilt, like I was somehow cheating on Leo, Mark, and Stephen, even though everything was consensual. Polyamory and open relationships might work for others, but they're not for me. Jesse says I need to get a therapist. I've been trying to find one, but it's hard to locate someone who's available and feels like a good fit. Hopefully I can get one by the time the divorce is finalized. I also need to figure out what to do about Mark on my own. I don't want to lead him on or give him false hope. Maybe we should take a break, or maybe I should just tell him to break up with me so he can find his own happiness without having to worry about me. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed our videos, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.